if we're not living our best and healthiest life, then we really we can't get up off the couch to go do our work and help to change the vibration on the planet. So what I started thinking about, and it seems really elementary, like I feel like I should have thought about this before, is like the connection between our health and our spirit and how important that is. And so you just brought up, that the work that you do is all about helping people to live their best life and to elevate them and all of those things. And you brought spirit up into, as a key component to health. So can you just share your perspective on really why it's so important, and then how, and you're big, I mean, you're all about total health. However, the brain health piece, I think, is so key. And I really am just thrilled to talk about it today because, we're in a place right now, everyone on the planet is really, I think, in a place of transition. And for some of us, it's easier than others. And so I think that what you're up to is essential for people to thrive. So welcome, Anne-Marie Frank, up in here. We are thrilled to have you. You guys, this woman is going to be on fire. So listen up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. So yeah, I mean, first of all, I am so thankful that over a decade ago, I started to, and I'm using air quotes, get my life together, right? Which I think has helped prepare me to deal with 2020. And, it's never just one thing. And so it is that mind-body connection and having that energetic connection and raising our vibration. So, back in the day, I used to tell people, oh, just go exercise as if it's going to solve all their problems, and 20 years ago when you're 18 years old, oh yeah, that's easy to think that that's, what will work. It is a component of it though. And then into my late 20s, early 30s, as I had children and gained weight, I'm like, oh man, I really got to pay attention to the food I'm putting in my body. So exercising, eating healthy, but yet I still had bouts with depression and issues with what was going on between my ears. And so then I realized, wow, I really got to get my brain right before these other things are going to, really matter. And then now that I feel like I've gotten my brain right, now I'm all into like spirit and raising my vibration. And so it's this fun journey that once you get on it, it's kind of addicting, because as you go through this self-improvement and you recognize that it's not ever going to be just the one thing, and you start layering in all these components of health and wellness and overall well-being, that's when the true magic starts to happen, and you start to have this lifestyle that's amazing. And back when I used to think, oh, if I lost 5 pounds, or, oh, if I just got the right diet, or, oh, if I just got the right pill from the right doctor, that I had that perception that that was going to help me and fix me. That was like so wrong. But it took me that journey of hitting rock bottom a couple times to recognize the fact that, one, I'm the one that determines my happiness, my health, my success, and all of that. It is not outside of me. It is within me. And, just recognizing that these things take time. And that's the beauty of it. We always, overestimate what we can accomplish in a few months or a year, and we underestimate what a decade can do to our life. And so I'm not sure if I answered your question, but ultimately it is this layering approach that I work with clients on, and we have to give ourselves the time to make those shifts and make those changes and to raise our vibration. And as we raise our vibration, we will attract higher vibrational things, people, energies, everything.
Girl, you just spoke volumes. I don't even know where to go back to start, but this is, I am so all about, like, I am my own guru. And I think it's really important for people at this point to really be mindful of that, because we're all, so looking outside of ourselves. And we've been given this opportunity. We were given an opportunity in, March through really probably, I'd say like June, July, this total like slowdown, shutdown. But if you look out in the world, ain't nobody shut down no more. Everyone's out. I mean, maybe people are masked and maybe they're not. And that's totally up to people whether they want to do that or not. But I think that like we are in this place where, going back to the brain piece and the spirit piece, is that it was so frightening for so many of us to be isolated, which I totally understand. Isolation is very scary for a lot of people, but also to go into our homes in this quarantine state, because guess who was up in that house? I was, and I had to deal with myself. So why, Anne-Marie, why do you think that people are so worried about really addressing that and going on the journey on their own and being their own guru? And really, like you said, like you hit rock bottom a few times, but it was like, and in the beginning you thought, oh, fitness, this is the way to like do this. Well, then you figured out, oh, maybe we need something else. And so I love what you're talking about, this layering effect. And so it's not just one thing, but it's all those things. Why do you think that we, just as humans, are afraid to stop and really take a look at ourselves?
Well, I think the main thing is there's that failure piece. And then there's also the laziness. I mean, and I know laziness is probably not the best word for it, but ultimately we get comfortable feeling not our best, but that is familiar. So we tend to go back to feeling familiar. And when, like back in the day when everything around me was like, oh, poor me, I spilled coffee on myself this morning. Oh gosh, everything is so wrong. And, oh, I'm so stressed. I have so many things to do. It's like, when I think back at like that person I was, it's like, oh my gosh, totally annoying, number one. But I kept attracting all of those things going on. But when it was like, every time I'm like, okay, you really need to do this. Like, it's up to you. That is, you take away the excuse to blame anyone else. And you only have yourself to like, be like, hey girl, like this is up to you. And so I think ultimately we kind of always want that little out, right? Like we don't want to set ourselves up for failure, but then we want to improve, but then we don't, want to tell everyone our big goals and our big dreams and aspirations, because, oh no, what if we fail? And, failure is such a silly word, because it's really there's an outcome, and there's an outcome to everything. And then there's the lesson with the outcome. And so I think we hold back because we don't want to, let ourselves down. We don't want to let other people down, when really, I think if we just did, like, we inched it forward with that layering effect with the little things, like wake up, drink a big glass of water, right? Take 5 minutes and meditate. And if you don't know how to meditate, okay, just take 5 minutes and just breathe and shut everything off, right? Like,
yeah,
just take 5 minutes and do a little mini 5-minute workout, and just start adding these elements into your life, and then allow the process of who you are becoming to let it, let yourself become whatever it is. And I don't know, we just got to give ourselves a little bit of grace. And I do think that people feel like failing. And then there's that whole self-esteem thing. I was like, who am I to take this big thing on? And what do I know? And that, I think too, is where you go and get professionals. Like, once I got a coach, it was like, oh my gosh, right? Like, yeah, having a coach, having someone that you can bounce things off of, having someone to call your BS on stuff. Because, a lot of times this is what happens. And I don't know if I usually draw this out for clients. But a lot of times we get so caught up in this story in our head, right? Mm-hmm. And the story is literally a story. Because if you were to take yourself outside of that story and just literally bullet points of what truly has happened, what truly have I committed to, what truly do I need to do in bullet points, boom, 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 A, B, and C, then you look at it and it's just what's to do. like you get rid of that huge story and this gunk we tell ourselves, and it's actually always a lot more simple when we just like go to the facts and what's to do and just like bullet things out. So I like to
I
do the
love
bullet.
that. I love disarming the story because that's where the drama gets in. And then we can also be to stay in a victim state. And,
Oh, for sure.
and the victim piece, I pray for more compassion. I do feel like on some levels, like, of course I have a lot of compassion, but then I get over hearing the story. And so, but I also understand like we're all in different cycles, in our lives. And sometimes maybe we're dealing with something that's like really programmed at a deep level from childhood, or we're struggling with some sort of an addiction, whether that's alcohol, drugs, food, behavior,
For
dependency on
sure.
other people. There's something in there that's programmed, and our neural pathways really just need a boost. So I found out about you guys through Kathleen. What's it been? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And which feels like 16 lifetimes, I tell you. 16 lifetimes and wrinkles are cracking all over my face. That's like my latest obsession. I need to probably get reprogrammed. But I came into contact with Happy Whole You, and really like it is phenomenal, the technology that you guys use to help people. So, who might really just be stuck in a pattern. Well, we're all human and we all need help. So whether that's a coach or the regime or what have you. And I can't remember the name of that light bed that I used to go lay in all the time. But I loved that. And I loved what it could do at a cellular level. And then I tried the Theta Pod.
Oh yeah.
Which is like amazing. And can you speak a little bit to like what this technology is? This is the way that medicine is really moving, with technology and light and frequency, and helping with that reprogram and helping with that layering effect when I just maybe can't move past something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, our neural pathways and these neural networks that we create in our brains that start cementing in from our analytical age of like 8, 9, 10 years old become very, very powerful. And so as we have our repetitive thinking and we think the way that we think and we think we're right because we just know it to be true, right? That is where we need to come in, and our brains are like plastic. Our brains can be molded. And so that's where we use the Theta Pod, we use Theta technology, we use a whole host of different high-tech pieces of equipment to help get people to start creating new neural pathways. And we also combine that with, old school 5,000 years ago Chinese medicine techniques. And so we really pair all of these elements together to upgrade people's bodies and their brains. But the Theta Pod, what's really great about that is, especially for people that have a hard time doing this thing called meditation. So like, okay, I hear I'm supposed to meditate, but like, I can't stop my brain from thinking. So essentially what the Theta Pod does is it literally lights up your brain like it's the 4th of July, creating new neural pathways, connecting old ones, and it's completely stimulating your brain on so many levels. We trigger the optic nerve. We have there's light therapy that goes on there. There's CES units that hook to your ears that are FDA approved for anxiety, depression, insomnia. You have binaural beats hitting each side of the brain, and then you overlay that with some suggestion music. So all of that, you're thinking, how can I meditate with all this going on? Not to mention you're in this pod that actually turns while you're in it for that vestibular stimulation. But ultimately, your brain gets so stimulated that your analytical mind kind of shuts off, and your conscious brain kind of is like, okay, I'm bored with this. This is too distracting. I'm just going to go chill. And then your subconscious comes in and like put you in this guided meditative state. So it's really a beautiful thing that happens. And the great thing about the Theta Pod is we can program it for a whole host of things that people have labeled you with. And so we can help trigger the brain differently with each one. And it's a very relaxing, natural way that's non-invasive to again, stimulate different neural pathways and create new neural pathways. So that's really important that we continue to do that as we age, creating these new neural pathways, because then it helps keep your brain molding in different directions, and it keeps your brain young.
Which is so essential to our vitality, right? I mean,
absolutely.
How many of us, and I honestly, I mean, I'm clearly a scientist, so I'm just going to put that out there.
Me too, right?
I love it. How many of us are, consumed with technology? We love technology because it really allows for us to do this. But we're so like, hello, dog. Welcome, dog. We'll have to edit that out. So we're so consumed with technology and and I really think that because it starts to think for you or fill in words for you and all those sorts of things, like we are becoming, speaking of lazy, our brains are becoming lazy, and then we're always like outside of ourselves. Oh, I'm going to look at Anne-Marie on Instagram, or I'm going to look at Kim Kardashian, or I'm going to look at everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with looking at everybody else. But then what happens is our brains start to go down this road of God knows where, I'm not like her, she's better than me, or whatever the story that you were speaking of, like whatever these stories are. And so I think that we have to reclaim our power. We have to reclaim our lives. We have to reclaim our time and our energy. And I think that when we talk about our brains and our brain health and it's essential that we have this thing dialed in. So you have been working with people with all this really high tech, amazing frequency technology to help them to create new pathways. And then you were inspired and started formulating supplements to add to the layer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So ultimately there's all these agents and, ingredients that have been shown in some research to help with brain function, to decrease inflammation, antiviral, anti-inflammatory properties. And so for a very long time, when I literally started to rewire and heal my brain, I started using a lot of these agents. And what I found was like, for example, one of the formulations we have is called Bright U. And so Bright U is essentially like the anti-aging brain supplement that helps with focus, helps with curbing appetite. And well, really, it's not even the curbing the appetite. It's like getting your brain to just be like intrigued with other things around you. So you're not thinking of food, like it's kind of shifting your mindset. But ultimately, like Bright U, I literally went from 6 bottles on my counter of like curcumin, resveratrol, ashwagandha, and magnesium, L-threonate. And I took these ingredients that I loved, and I'm like, okay, what if I could put most of these in one formula and still be able to get the beneficial effect that I want with them? And so when I started formulating, it was like, oh my gosh, I can totally like do this one. I was able to literally take 6 bottles off of my counter, and then I have this one called Bright U, which is amazing. And so I formulated 3 different products. One's the Bright U. The other one is called Calm U. So a lot of times we have an overactive limbic system in our brain, and it can be overactive due to a variety of things: past traumas, recent traumas, worry. I mean, just the pandemic alone, I have had so many people come and see me that are like, gosh, I never used to have like anxiety, and I use air quotes for that, but anxiety or worry. And like, I don't know what's happening to me, but since this whole pandemic, like I don't know, I like have, it's this weird feeling, and they're trying to describe it because they've heard the word anxiety before, but they've never experienced it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, what if you could have this one bottle of these agents that calm the limbic system, that help with that overactive mind, and it's a natural way to just kind of give you take that layer of yuck off your brain. And so that's why I formulated Calm U, is because I've had a lot of people, even if they've had anxiety for a long time or whatnot, this is a great agent to help them with that. And then I've also seen the other end of people the sadness and the isolation and the just feeling down, or they're getting through each day, but they are just not happy and they just feel like something is off. And they're like, well, I don't want to go get on Prozac. I don't want to go get on anything because like, it's this pandemic. And so it's like, okay, so then we formulated Happy You, which, has some, really good agents that help with the brain naturally producing some more of its own serotonin. And so that's what happens. And we go through these seasons in life. And so the brain is the only organ in the body that, to my knowledge, doctors are not scanning or looking at before they're treating it. And more doctors are prescribing brain altering medications that are family doctors. And, of course, they probably have the best intentions, but ultimately, I just find it to be very wrong that the first line of defense when we have a mood, emotional, something going on in the brain, one, we're not looking at the brain, we're not doing a SPECT scan, or we're not doing biofeedback, or we're not looking at the brain to see what else could be going on. And we're throwing these medications at it. That why are we not looking at what's their stress level? What is their brain doing from a frequency standpoint? What are some natural ways that we could enhance the brain? And just kind of dig a little deeper. But the thing is that takes time. And that's what we do at Happy Whole You. These things take time. We work with clients. It's not a one and done. It's not a quick fix, but I will say the stuff that we're doing is super effective. And it is kind of taking less time than I know for sure. The decade I spent rewiring my brain, I've been able to help people do it in a lot shorter time, which is great.
I love that. That is so cool that you have embarked on that journey, and really it's about being efficient too. It's
Totally.
like helping yourself, helping your body, being way more efficient, and your body not having to process 62 different supplements. And I heard the term like probably 5 years ago, supplement fatigue. I'm like, me too. I mean, I can't tell you how many things I have. And at the same time, I've really pared that down because I don't want to process all of those things anymore. So I love that you've combined, just your own experience with herbs and minerals and all sorts of different high functioning, I don't know, natural things. I'm not being very eloquent, but like that you're able to really help people move the needle. And to your point, like, and I know that some people need to be on medication. And so I feel that like there are some people, I think that a big concern that we should all be paying attention to is the amount of children who are medicated and how it's changing their brains before the brain's even developed, and it's not overly helping. And, anyone who's on medication from the time they're like 6 to the time they're 12, and it's stunning puberty and like all these things, but parents are so out of their minds that they don't, and out of their minds with worry and fear and wanting to help their kids, that they're willing to do anything. And I know a lot of people do try natural, but like maybe it's not moving the needle, or maybe it's not the right thing, or, maybe their insurance doesn't cover, alternative, which it's like, this is not alternative therapy anymore. This is like the way. And combining allopathic with other modalities is essential in these days. So I think that like we really have got to get a hold of ourselves. And, just what you were saying, like people are freaking out about the pandemic, which I mean, our whole lives have changed. Do you think that, that their anxiety is coming from a collective consciousness of fear and worry? Or do you think it's like, do you think they're picking up on this frequency, or maybe like watching too much of the news, or, cause there's, I mean, if you turn on that television, it's not here to help you unless it's a good Netflix show.
Yeah, no, there is, I mean, there is a collective energy that is going on right now in the vibration that this earth is at right now with everybody. There is this fear mentality. I mean, they have research with monks that, you know, meditate and, you know, I forget, but there was research where these monks went into this neighborhood where there's a lot of crime. And they all meditated, and the monks had to make up 1% of the population. And with that collective meditation, they actually lowered the crime rate in the city. And so we forget how powerful that our own energy, that our own frequency is and what it's vibrating at. When we take medications that, you know, carry a specific frequency, when we smoke pot, when we self-medicate with, you know, alcohol and things like that, we are lowering our vibration. And so, you know, it's really important that everything that we fill our senses up with, and what I mean by that, your sense, like your vision, whatever you choose to see and look at on a day-to-day basis is going to provide you with a certain energy. It's a certain frequency. If you choose to watch, you know, the news and negativity and shows that are of, you know, killing and mystery and all of that, I'm sorry, but I believe that that can lower your frequency or take your frequency to that negativity, right? Versus if you are, you know, listening to a podcast like this, or, you know, going and spending the time and watching your kids play outside, or better yet, playing with them. I think that is very hard to argue that that doesn't shift your frequency, that doesn't shift your energy. And so, yeah, there is a collective consciousness of just a fear. And I think that that is impacting every single one of us. It's totally impacting me. And I have to like literally check myself. I think it was like 2 weeks ago, I wrote a blog on it. I literally lost my crap. Like I yelled at my kids. I was so frustrated. I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And before I knew it, my dogs were scratching on the door to be let in. And I just started crying. Like it was like my sweet, innocent dogs who love me unconditionally. Every time I see them, they're so happy to see me. I'm literally crying because they're scratching at the door and I just don't even know what to do with myself. And it's just, it impacts all of us. And I think the key is to have actions, to have resources, to be able to fill in your day when those things happen. So it's like, okay, feel the feels, recognize and try to say, okay, where is this coming from? Like, I'm not saying suppress your emotions at all, because I did that for a long time, didn't serve me at all. But ultimately, you know, add in a walk, call a friend, maybe, you know, take a little extra dose of your, you know, happy you for the day. But have these resources, a good podcast that you can listen to, something that you can fill in when you feel your frequency dip, when you feel yourself being, you know, immersed in that collective fear mentality or in that lower vibration, because we will all be pulled in that direction. I don't think we can't not be. So having those go-to actions is key to keeping yourself high vibe and just being able to, you know, have your head on your shoulders and feel good about life.
Yeah. And the thing is that we are all in this together. We truly are all one. We are made from the same energy. I don't care what anyone says, what they call it. And we talk about that a lot because I know that we're all in this connection. And then the truth is that we have come here to ignite our own light and to be the power in our lives. And so, you know, I have oscillated. The other day I was like, how can I feel so much joy, that like joy I've never felt before? I was like, this is new. To like just the depth of despair about, holy crap, like this is getting heavy. This is deep. Like there's so much happening and the frequency is moving so fast. So the earth is actually spinning faster and we are actually moving into an ascended state. So we're moving up. So, you know, when people are like, oh my God, I feel like I haven't talked to you in 16 years, but it was like a week ago. It's because we're moving so fast. So we have that. And we're all these billions of people who have our own frequency. And so we're going to have those days. And so to have that toolbox is so key with like the things that can make you, just to calm you down. And also just acknowledge like, yeah, I'm having a day and I'm going to be in this. And so it sucks to like lash out and do all those things, but what sucks even worse is if you drop yourself into a hole as a result.
Yeah.
And finding a way to like work through that. But remember that like the more we can turn up our light, the more we can help to put out this lie that is the fear, because the fear is a frigging lie.
Totally.
And it's totally a lie. But like you found yourself in this place, or I find myself in this place, and we're like, okay, like what in the name of God is actually happening? I'm freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
But then you worked through it because you had your toolbox.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I know like that day I went through that because it had to bring me back to recognize that like my clients, and when people come to me and they're feeling these ways, I believe like I go through that because it's a reminder for me that, there's a lot of other people that don't have the tools that I have. And so it's important that I help them find those tools, or, have more compassion because they don't necessarily have those tools. And I think it's important too, that, we all recognize that we signed up for this. Like we have a soul contract that literally, and I just got chills just when I said that, because we have this soul contract that when we come here on, and I'm talking about Earth, that we are going to go through the thick and thin. We're going to go through the ups and the downs, and there is a reason for it. Like, I can't even tell you how much I hated God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, over 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. I was like, you know what? Life would be better without me. Why don't I just check out? And I did not want to be here, and hated like God, whatever, like just, and now I realize, oh my gosh, I totally signed up for that. And I had to go through that to get to where I'm at right now, to be able to help the hundreds of people that I'm helping right now. Like I had to. There's no way I could sit here and talk about brain health and being happy and raising your vibration and doing all that if I haven't done it myself and I didn't come from that dark space. So if you are, and I know there's a lot of people in that fear mentality, in that dark space, dude, own that. I signed up for this. This is okay. There is a lesson here. Watch me get my tool belt on and start filling it with a bunch of tools. And you watch me bring my vibration up and go into 2020 like, what's up? Because the thing is we can't sit here and say, oh gosh, I can't wait for 2020 to get over. No. What? Don't wish away any of your life. You know what? It is what it is. And let's look for the lessons here, because this is such a growth state right now that we're in. And again, it's easier for me to say because I do have a lot of these tools in my tool belt, but that's where we invite you to listen to podcasts like this. And we're inviting you to come along and, start getting some of those tools to help you, because we all deserve to feel absolutely amazing and feel like we're progressing in this lifetime.
Girl, amen, mic drop. There's nothing else to say except for there's so much more to say, but this is, yes, A to the men. And we're always on the journey. And the good news is that there are people in this world like you who are here to help people while we are in this huge transition. And as you said, 2020 is an opportunity. So we get it. It's been a real situation, but it was a way bigger situation before it actually happened. It's this whole notion that, when you get a cold, you're actually way sicker before you ever show the symptoms. And we are clearly in a huge state of flux, but we join together, hands across the universe, and shine the light together, because that's what it's about. So come on to the light team. And you know what's really cool? You said you were in the dark, and there's a lot of people that are feeling that they're in the dark. You know who the light is? You're the light. And that light helped you to walk right on out of that darkness. And the thing is, the dark is such a beautiful opportunity to like magnify some real like growth opportunity. So if we can just settle in and find the joy in that to move through it.
Watch out.
Watch out. Well, everyone, get involved. This woman is a brilliant, beautiful, just, I mean, I hate to call you an asset to humanity, but the work that you are doing is changing this world. Anne Marie Frank, find her on Instagram and check out this magnificence. You are the creator of these amazing supplements that are going to help people just to elevate their vibration and to help their brains. I mean, my God. And I'm assuming the rest of their bodies. So check her out. Where can they find you, my love?
Yeah. So on Instagram, we're at Happy Whole You. And then you can always go to happywholeyou.com and you can check out the supplements there. And if you use the code HAPPY10, you will get 10% off your order. And yeah, I'd love for you guys to just check it out.
Well, I will put that in the show notes so that anyone who wants to check you out, and you are available for coaching and all sorts of connection. You have a huge presence on Instagram. And so your tools are free there, and get involved with your sister, y'all. She's here to light you up.
That's right.
We have so much more to do.